welcome to our video on displaying univariate data, a summary. What I'm going to try and do is put all of the different types of univariate data displays into a table here so we can easily see which ones and how to describe each one. I'm going to list the displays down the first column, show any calculations you could do with that display and how you would describe it in your report. Now, the first category I'm going to do is categorical data. Before I do that though, I just want to remind you about univariate data. It's when we have one variable. If we've got two variables that we're trying to compare, then that would be bivariate data and we would have a different way of comparing that. But when we're using just a single variable, we can use these methods here. So the types of display we've looked at in categorical data. Categorical data is data that is set into set categories. So there's no numbers, not usually numbers involved unless numbers are a category like postcodes. But it is categorical. First type of display is a frequency table. And that's the one that looks something like this. You might get eye color, blue, green, red, and the frequency of each. Pretty simple. The second type of display we've looked at is a bar chart. Remembering when you're doing a bar chart with categorical data, it has gaps. So it's going to look something like, not like that, something like this. With the gaps in between. And the third type of display we've looked at for categorical data is related to the bar chart, and it is the stacked bar chart. So this is the one where we turn each one of these numbers into a percentage overall, and we stack them on top of each other. Something like that. In the calculations column, there's not many calculations you can do for these three. You can definitely look at finding the mode or the modal category, which is the most common. For this one, it's a 7, green eyes. For the bar chart, it's the middle one. And for the stacked bar chart, it's the category with the tallest bar, so it would be the middle category. If you were doing a stacked bar chart, you would need to find percentages either from a frequency table or from a bar chart in order to put it into the stacked bar chart. When we are describing these displays, again, because it's not numerical data, there's not a lot we can describe. We would definitely talk about the mode. We could talk about if the distribution is bimodal, which would mean it has two most common categories. If we had another one up here that was the same and there were two equal to modes, we could talk about that. But that's really all we can talk about when we're describing our distribution. If we have a small number of categories, we could, in our report, we could talk about each of the categories, what the numbers were for each category. But if you had a large number, you don't need to do that for every one of the categories. You might do the highest one and the lowest one, or if you had two modes, you could talk about those two modes.